Of a game last night, we will recap. We, of course, preview every single game, and we will be doing our Pigskin Pick'em. Again, a reminder, against the spread.
Yeah, and we had our Celebrity League draft last night as well,
which is very fun. And I don't know if we'll have a ton of time to break down that draft during today's show because we have so much to get to. But was a very fun night. And I'm sure we'll be talking about the rosters at length over the course of next week.
Yes, 100%.
Rewind. Fantasy news
from the National Football League.
This is the instant replay.
We waited 214 days. And then we waited another 45 minutes because last night's game was delayed because of really crazy weather in Philadelphia. They eventually kicked off at around 9:05 Eastern time. The final score was 18-12. Some people thought this was an ugly game.
Just some people?
Yeah, many thought. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, probably the people who didn't think it was an ugly game was Doug Peterson, who's happy to get out of there with a win.
Those are Eagles fans. Although Eagles fans were
Eagles fans were booing. Eagle fans won a Super Bowl. You've had one half of football with a backup quarterback, and you're booing.
Yeah, didn't take long.
Oh my goodness.
Never changed. Never changed.
It was great. In any event, it was an 18-12 final for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another closely contested game between these two teams. Let's begin with Atlanta. And I think really the biggest story from this game last night for Atlanta, Stephania, was that Devonta Freeman left it.
He did, and for a while, most of us, myself included, thought, well, I wonder why they're opting to go completely with Tevin Coleman. They're switching this up here. And it turns out Devonta Freeman has a right knee injury. We don't know anything about the severity. Supposedly he said he was okay after the game, but you never a player in the immediate aftermath of the game. Look, the point is,
that makes me nervous. Honestly, the fact that he said, "Oh, I'm going to be okay," makes me super nervous. I mean, I hope for the best. Obviously, I have him on a team. I root for Devonta Freeman. We never want to see players injured, but
there's more to it than that. I mean, this is a guy who was fighting through a knee issue at the end of last year, and the off season worked very hard to make sure he was 100% healthy coming in, did not play in the preseason for that reason. So to come out and get 3 quarters into it and then have to be out of the game because of it, I'm sure he was frustrated regardless of the severity of the injury. And obviously we'll find out more by next week.
Frustrated not just because of that, but also because, you know what, hey, somebody blocked for him. I thought he actually, when he was out there field, I thought he looked good. They gave him a number of chances at the goal line. And just, poor blocking down there. I thought it was encouraging if you have Devonta Freeman on your team is the fact that in the second series, even though he struggled he didn't cash in, Tevin Coleman was in the second series and they got into the red zone. And once again, they pulled Tevin Coleman and they gave Freeman the work there. They put Freeman on the field again. They weren't able to cash in. So fingers crossed on Devonta Freeman.
We'll react more. Unfortunately, we did discuss the idea of what would life look like without Devonta Freeman for Tevin Coleman on Thursday's podcast. And we said top 10 running back upside, which hopefully, for Devontae's sake, we don't see that soon, but keep that in mind as we get into week 2. Julio Jones, by the box score, dominated last night. 10 catches, 169 yards, and 19 targets. Let's put a little bit of context on this. The frustrating part of last night was no touchdown for Julio Jones and some curious play calling from the Falcons, specifically a 4-play sequence, first and goal from the 1, where Julio Jones was not on the field at all, and they threw it on 4th down to Devonta Freeman, who it was an incomplete pass. But basically, you go 4 straight plays without putting the hands in the best playmaker you have.
It was as if he made all the plays going down the field. They wanted to give him a rest, but they forgot to put him back in for one of the. That's how it felt to me.
I think there's going to be a lot of soul searching and questions in Atlanta on the offensive play calling and coaching staff over there after going back and watching the film of this game. 19 targets for Julio. I mean, you can't argue with any of that. 10 for 169, and honestly, probably should have been more because I felt like that was a catch that got overturned.
Yeah,
the one that was on his shoulder.
51-yard catch that he caught clearly, and I actually thought Terry McCauley did a nice job in the booth last night for NBC, and so that was a catch. Stunned that was not a catch. So Julio could have had 220 yards last night, but he'll settle for 169. The Falcons' red zone offense, we will continue to monitor it. We are not saying that last night was not discouraging. At the same time, 1 game, 1 week, a lot of football left to be played.
By the way, Dan Quinn talking to the media at 3:15 today, so if you're really curious about Devonta Freeman's injury, hopefully we'll get a little update later this afternoon.
follow at Stephania_ESPN because ESPN pays her to care about Devonta Freeman. So just go ahead and follow her because I'm sure you will be updating that story as news trickles in. Worth noting that Tevin Coleman, 9 for 19, he cashed in the touchdown. He didn't look particularly effective yesterday, but very tough defense. They play Tampa Bay next week. Things will get better for the Falcons offense.
Ajayi
I take that back. The Eagles play Tampa Bay next week.
Yeah, I don't know who the Falcons
they play Carolina. Falcons play Carolina, so it could be a tough start there for the Falcons.
Ajayi had a really quiet first half as the Eagles relied on not just 1 or 2 or 3, 4 running backs played in the first half, and quite a bit for Philadelphia. Ajayi, Darren Sproles, Clement, Wendell Sproles, they all got time. And yet, if you looked at last night's box score, you're saying to yourself, yeah, but Ajayi got 20.2 points. He was awesome. In the second half, he was very good. Yep. He had 2 touchdowns. He had a 2-point conversion, 15 carries for 62 yards. Would you say, Matthew, at the end of the night, you were encouraged by the workload for Ajayi, or did last night in any way confirm some of the fears that I had in the preseason that, like, there are so many backs in Philadelphia, it might limit his upside a little bit?
Yeah, I think. Can I answer both?
Yeah,
I mean, seriously,
I know it was a tale of two halves.
It totally was. I mean, honestly, like, I sort of feel like, look, you're excited that he was able to cash in the touchdowns, and by the way, and especially the second touchdown. I mean, it was an impressive run. Sure. So I mean, so you like to see that it wasn't just something from the 1 yard line falling into the end zone, but Darren Sproles played more snaps. Clement had 13 snaps in this game. That 11-yard touchdown run was terrific, but you have to wonder, like, rainy weather. Foles doesn't have it. Right. And do you think that Doug Peterson just said, you know what, we're just going to try to run the ball and get out of here and try to limit Nick Foles here? So you're excited about, obviously, the touchdowns there. But, yeah, I'm concerned. I think he's the head of a running back by committee.
Yes.
Having said that, I think it's going to be a very productive running back by committee. And I think being the head of that running back by committee, we all had him as a top 20 running back. And I think that's right on Ajayi. I think he's always going to be in that 15 to 23 range, depending on, bye weeks and everything like that, and the matchups. Again, as I mentioned, they play Tampa Bay this week, and things will be better for them. That offense, I believe, against the Buccaneers.
If you feel confident in the Eagles as a team, you should feel pretty confident in Ajayi. He is going to be akin to what LeGarrette Blount was for the Patriots for a couple of years there. When they play with a lead, or they play in tight games, or they play to the goal line, he's going to be the guy. But when things were stuck in the mud in the first half, a lot of Darren Sproles, a lot of Clement. I'm still with you. I'm not, I think for the rest of the season, I still like him most amongst Eagles running backs. But yeah, it was a little bit discouraging in the first half for me to see so many other backs getting run.
I will say very quickly that for deeper PPR leagues, Darren Sproles is going to have a significant role on this team, and it's not just as a pass catcher. I mean, they used him in the red zone offense. They used him between the tackles. Like, Ajayi, when you're ranking him, it would be Ajayi, Clement, but Sproles will have PPR value this year.
Did not look like a 35-year-old coming off an ACL tear and a broken forearm.
Did not at all. He is a freak of nature.
He is a freak. Nelson Agholor led the Eagles with 10 targets last night, 8 catches for 33 yards. Very Jarvis Landry of him, but still effective in PPR scoring. We had a feeling he was going to have a big role because, and seriously, last night, DeAndre Carter, people were like, who is this? DeAndre Carter was the second wide receiver on the field in a lot of snaps for the Philadelphia Eagles. Good to see Agholor, who I think will continue to play a prominent role, albeit one that has limited upside in terms of yards per catch until Alshon Jeffery returns, which could be we'll see, in a few weeks.
Yeah, and so it's hard to take a lot away from the Eagles' offense there, obviously, with no Carson Wentz, no Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, Ertz got 10 targets as well.
But only 5 receptions. I was a little,
Yeah, it was a tough, listen, great. Foles was bad last night.
Right.
He just was. I had to start Foles in a 2-quarterback league, and I played against a guy that had Ajayi. So, yeah, good times there. That's a lot of fun. Pretty sure I'm 0-1 in that league. So anyway, but I don't think you can take a lot away from the Eagles' offense based on last night because, again, with the weather, and I do think we'll have a better sense of them next week when they play Tampa Bay.